welcome to week 27 of Walk the Plank, the athletic department podcast here at Perry High School that takes a dive into what the week that was, and we're going to recap actually a lot of our winter events here today. As always, joining me is Gene Winters, my co-host. Thanks for being here, Gene.
Yeah, you talk about it every week. The longest sports season of the year has finally come to an end after last weekend states for wrestling and, of course, the indoor track tournament, which we're going to talk about.
Yeah, and we'll recap all of our winter stuff. We'll sort of put a bow on everything as we have. Today's Wednesday, the 12th. We have our sports awards tonight in the theater at 7 p.m. So that'll be our last official winter event of the winter sports season. But as you said, it's a long one. So we'll sort of go back and recap. I don't know if we'll go back all the way to November, but we'll go back at least over the last couple of weeks and recap everything that's happened from a state tournament perspective and a postseason perspective. And then, and we're moving on to spring.
Yeah, already yesterday, I know that the softball team was out yesterday enjoying the nice weather with the scrimmage, and boys, baseball and softball getting ready to head down to Florida.
Yeah, certainly we got to take advantage of it when we can. And yesterday was a beautiful day. A little colder today and tomorrow, and then Friday again. So looking forward to a great spring season. But before sort of that prelude to spring, let's wrap up the winter. And as Gene mentioned, indoor track last weekend, we had our indoor state track meet. We're very lucky that it's just down the street, literally at Spire in Geneva. So people from all over the state are coming up to Geneva, Ohio for the indoor state track meet. Joining us this week is Armani Chapone. He is our male athlete of the week. Emily Meckenbauer is our female athlete of the week. She couldn't be with us today, but we'll interview Emily next week. But Armani, welcome in. Congratulations. Armani is our athlete of the week because he is also a state champion. And he was state champion in the high jump last week at Aspire, jumping 6 feet 4 inches, which is a PR for Armani. So thanks for being here, Armani. Congratulations on the state championship. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, good day. So 6'4" is your PR. So do you go into that event, which was last Friday, and knowing that, hey, I sort of have to PR or I have to get 6'4", did you have an idea of what you needed to jump that day in order to win a state championship?
Yeah, so 6'4" and above most of the years win it. And I had the highest mark going into the meet with one other kid at 6'4". So I knew 6'4" to 6'5" is what it was going to take.
And as you prepare, how do you, I guess, continue to train to get to that level? I know we were talking off the air, you go from 6 to 6'2" to 6'4". I'm sure, when you get down to states this year for the outdoor, you're going to have another number in mind. But how do you improve your jumps each time? What are you doing training-wise to get to that goal?
So I have a high jump trainer that I go to at university schools, and he just has me do full approaches. And because in high jump, the most important part is your approach. If something's messed up on your approach, the whole jump gets messed up. So I just practice my approach like at least 20 times every time I'm there and try and get it down to where it's muscle memory.
And that's going, starting at this, where you start, 20 steps or 15 steps or whatever it might be to make sure you're on.
Yeah, it's just a 10-step approach, and then around the 5th step, I have to start turning to make it kind of like a J.
And so it's not so much speed. Like you look at the long jump. What other events do you do in track?
I long jump, high jump, and then I think they're going to have me do the hurdles this year.
Okay, good. Well, so like long jump, one of the things that if you look at it, like you're trying to get as much speed down that runway as possible. Not so much in high jump, right? It's more technical.
Yeah, so you want more speed because the faster you can run, the higher you'll jump. But you have to run at a speed your body can handle. Because I've tried to run faster, but then I'll drop my shoulder and I just go back instead of going up.
Right.
So I just have to run at a speed I can handle.
And going back to Friday, how many jumps did it take to get to the state championship level? Or on Friday, take us through your day.
So they opened, the opening bar for everyone was 5'6". I passed to 5'10". My 5'10" jump, it's not that hard anymore. So I jumped 5'10", then 6 foot, and then they went up by 1 inch after you go to 6 foot.
Okay.
So I skipped 6'1" and just went to 6'2". There was only 5 of us left at 6'2". And then after I cleared that, it was only me and 2 other kids. Some junior jumped 6'3" with me, so jumped that instead of skipping in case I messed
Yeah.
up. And then 6'4", first attempt I cleared, and he just didn't do anything after that.
And are these guys that you've competed against before? Were you familiar with them, or I'm guessing the high jump community is a small niche group.
Yeah, so the kid that took second beat me at outdoor state last year.
Okay.
And then the kid that took third, I jumped with a couple of times this summer at an AU meet.
All right. Well, that's awesome. So you're improving. You're getting that. You're getting those every year. It seems like you're going up. What were you? Take us through your freshman year. You're a senior now. What were you jumping as a freshman, and how have you improved over the years?
Yeah, so freshman year, I wasn't originally on the track team. I played
Okay.
baseball first,
Okay.
and then Sarvis reached out to me because he knew I high jumped my
Yeah.
8th grade year.
Okay.
And so I split time doing both, but Ethan Crum got hurt at the
Right.
Perry relays, so I got bumped up to the varsity jumping spot. And then my first invitational, I jumped 5'6", I think, and that was good enough for a varsity letter. And that was my PR freshman year. But
Right.
freshman year, I was kind of slow. My
Yeah.
J was bad. Like I would cut it really sharp, and my
Sure.
over the bar was terrible.
Yeah.
Like it looked like I'm sitting on a chair going over the bar.
Oh, but you're a freshman, right? You're
Yeah.
learning, and you've done it in middle school, but you went in with the idea of playing baseball, and now here you are. You get a varsity letter in your first event, and you're probably thinking, all right, maybe we can make something of this.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then as you progress your sophomore year, your junior year, state qualifier at the outdoor meet last year. What was your jump last year, and where did you finish at the state meet?
Last year, my PR was 6'4" at the regional meet, which
Okay.
was good enough for second place. And then at states, we started at 6 foot, which was really new to me to start that high.
That's high.
Yeah, so I normally had like 5 jumps already underneath me going to 6 foot. So I jumped 6 foot second attempt, then 6'2", and everyone had to skip 6'3" and go straight to 6'4", and that was,
Okay.
I only jumped that once before, so it was a really
Right.
big jump.
Sure. Well, and like you said, you're coming off that regional week, and now you're at states, and it's just, yeah, I mean, it's a big jump from going instead of every inch, 2
Yeah.
inches up, and not have as many sort of warm up jumps. Or is there a max number of jumps though that a high jumper or that you feel comfortable with jumping in a day? Like you said last week at Spire, you didn't hop in until later because you knew you'd be able to clear those opening heights. Is there a magic number, like I don't want to go above 10 jumps because then maybe you start to see that production or your height go down a little bit?
There probably is a good number,
Yeah.
but I feel like to me, it's just when no one is left jumping, it's hard to jump alone. So as long as
Right.
there's competition still, it's easy to jump.
Okay, that makes sense.
And how do you use this momentum, this championship, to take you into the outdoor season?
I'm kind of just not thinking of it because outdoor is going to be a lot harder. So I'm just right back to the weight room, on the track, just trying to get better and better myself.
And what is the main difference between indoor and outdoor? As we said, it was at Spire. You're inside. You said it before we started here. It's not all that warm in there
Yeah.
to begin with. But is there a main difference between jumping indoors at Spire versus an outdoor meet?
I feel like the atmosphere, like everyone's happier outdoors. Like at the
Yeah.
end of the season when it's warm,
Yeah.
it's sunny and it's
Right.
always a lot hotter.
Okay.
It's a lot hotter, so your muscles are loose, so it's
Yeah.
easier to jump.
Okay.
And last week again at Spire, you were able to jump with your teammate Anthony Anderson. So was that like a little bit of competition between you two? Was it nice to have a teammate there with you? He also finished 5th place.
Yeah, so Anthony's pushed me to get a lot better because last year and his sophomore year and his freshman year, he was better than me. He beat me out to go to regionals freshman year, and he beat me at indoor states and took second last year with 6'4". And he definitely lets me hear it. So it's just like we compete with each other a lot.
Well, good. Good to have some teammate competition. Never hurts.
And I'm sure
Yeah.
it's not, just competition too, but I'm sure you guys are telling,
Yeah,
trading secrets and trying to, boost each other up to get a 1-2 finish.
Yeah, we definitely help each other a lot.
All right, and so here we go. We're state champ now at the high jump last Friday. we're transitioning. We've got some decent weather this week. You guys have been outside. Maybe a chilly day today, tomorrow by the lake at least. I know it's supposed to be a little colder. What do you prefer as an athlete from a practice standpoint? Would you rather be outside even if it's 38 or 40 degrees, or would you rather be crammed inside the field house with that many people in it trying to get work done?
I feel like it just depends on what we're doing that day.
Okay.
Like yesterday, we were doing 150s and some field event work, so it was
Yeah.
okay. It was nice to be outside
Yeah.
because the indoor track is kind of slippery. So
Yeah, it is. It's just not. It's great. We have the facility and things, but it's not an ideal practice situation. We have a brand new track. How's
Yeah.
that? Is it a little spongier, a little nicer? You notice a difference in that yet, or not really?
I feel like running wise, it's the same, and
Yeah.
I haven't jumped on it yet, so I don't know.
Okay. When will we start jumping outside now?
I probably won't jump. I might jump Friday here, but I probably won't do like a full approach until next week.
Okay. And then are you heading down south?
Yeah, I'm going to Myrtle Beach. With
Okay,
the
so
team.
yeah, the track team. So we have 3 teams that are heading south here over, and I know our band is heading to Orlando. Track is heading to Myrtle Beach for the week to practice, and then we'll compete at the Cane Bay Invitational in the Charleston area.
Yeah.
That second weekend, I think that's the 29th of March. And I know baseball and softball are heading to Cocoa Beach, which is the sort of the quintessential baseball area of Florida there on the Atlantic coast. So what are you most excited about for Myrtle Beach and Charleston?
Honestly, the weather, and then
Yeah.
there's going to be good competition there
Yeah.
because the kids in South Carolina, it'll be like their mid-season
Yeah.
point, so I'll actually have people to jump with that are jumping higher.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy how advanced some of those southern states are by the time we get down there. Same with baseball and softball,
Yep.
too. They've played maybe for 3 or 4 weeks, and we're like, this is game 2 for us or whatever. And similar for us, it's going to be really our first, one of our first track events of the outdoor season. So I agree. The weather is going to be a big factor. That's one reason we, like our teams to go and encourage our teams to go south, is just to get, a sort of a good jump start to the season because the weather is going to be so much better. So knock on wood, hopefully it's good for all of our teams as we go. Yeah, any other questions for Armani that you can think of, Gene?
No, let's just real quick for kids that might be in like the middle school level. What turned you on to track or trying it out, and obviously now succeeding at it, even taking your kind of year off before coming back to it?
So in 7th grade, I only had like 3 days of practice, and then we got put into quarantine. But then
That's right.
in 8th grade, all my friends were doing it, so I just wanted to be with my friends, basically.
But that's a good thing. I mean,
Yeah.
again, you're bonding with them, and again, Perry, we've talked about it numerous times. A small group, the same kids you've practiced with, played with year after year after year. So, and again, to be a part of a school team, I'm sure as well helps. So, last thing for me, now that you're getting ready for outdoor, is there going to be a number that you're trying to get to this year? Like, now 6'4" is the bar that you set for yourself. Is it 6'5"? Is it 6'6"? What will it take to be the outdoor champ?
To win it, it'll probably take 6'8" plus this year, but I want to at least jump 6'7" so I can tie the school record.
Get that name up on the board there
Yeah.
for the PR or the school record. So, all right, so 6'7" is the school record. Obviously, getting down to state will be another goal. And then sort of back to that 8th grade experience, like that's what we, everybody said, oh, that's track is just a social thing in middle school, and it is. That's what got you out, and that's sort of the bait, if you will, that, all right, hey, I'll come out with your friends, but have a good time. We're going to push you to do some things maybe that you haven't done in the past or haven't tried. But it's worked out, and in Armani's case, now here we are. He's a state champ, state indoor champ at the OATCC. So it's run by our Track Coaches Association. And congratulations on a great meet last week, and we wish you nothing but the best. Moving forward to the outdoor season, maybe you'll be back here, and we'll keep everybody updated. But before we let you go, we've got your certificate to Dairy Queen. I didn't bring it down today, but we'll make sure you get that. We'll just run through our questions again. getting to know Armani a little bit more. Similar questions. He was here. You were athlete of the week for football right at the end of the year. So let's see. We can go back to like week, probably 14 or 15, maybe somewhere in there. If anybody wants to check on Armani's answers. But Armani, what's your favorite food?
I feel like a good steak.
Good steak. All right. Any particular, you like to go to get a steak, make it at home? I like to make mine at home.
I can't really cook, so I like to go get them.
Okay. How about favorite subject in school?
I like science.
Science. You actually are missing Mrs. Olick's classes right now, just for a
Yeah.
little bit. We're taking like a 15-minute break. We'll get you back there in a minute. Favorite movie or show, series, television series, streaming series?
I feel like I don't really have a favorite.
Okay.
I watch a lot of TV.
Okay. How about favorite memory from your time here at Perry, youth all the way on up? You just won a state championship. You were on the state championship football team. What, if you had to pick one, what would you say?
I feel like everything I did my junior football season was good, really fun, because it was the guys I grew up playing football with. That senior class was the older kids on my team my first year I played.
Yeah.
And just getting to win that with the team was a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was an awesome experience. Any hobbies away from, you're obviously a multi-sport guy, forest football, track, anything you do outside of athletics?
I just play a lot of Madden.
Okay, there you go. If you could go anywhere in the world, Armani, where would you go? Cost is not an issue. You're getting on a plane. Where is Armani heading?
I still think would want to go to Japan.
Japan. Okay, I remember that from the last time. All right. Thanks so much for being here, Armani. Appreciate your time. Congratulations. State champ, 6'4", high jump. Last Friday out at Spire. Good luck the rest of this outdoor season coming up.
All right.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for coming down. Yeah, exciting times. When we got that text that he won the state championship, I'm like, I was down at the state wrestling meet and videoing a match actually down there, and I get the text that he won it. So we got that out there as fast as we could too. But yeah, it was awesome experience for a lot of our track kids. So I guess let's just recap some of our events from last week, and we'll start with track since we have had Armani here. Obviously, as we said, state champion in the high jump. Emily Meckenbauer is actually our female athlete of the week. She couldn't be with us today. We will interview her next week on the pod, and we can sort of recap her fourth place finish in the shot at the indoor state track meet. Who else did we have here? Anthony Anderson, you mentioned he was fifth in the high jump. Traxton Richards was fifth in the pole vault. We had a relay team of Brody Krantz, Dane Pike, Xavier Jackson, and Jimmy Ashburn. They finished eighth in the 4x200 relay. So the top 8 get on the podium and get a medal. Katie Rockwell was eighth in the high jump. And I think that was it. We mentioned Emily.
Yep.
Marley Freeman and Addie Trevser just missed out on the podium. And again, really the indoor season is sort of to get you ready for that outdoor season. And so I know they'll be ready to go for outdoor as well.
It's like all the sports that we talk about. It's not like you just show up here on the first day of spring practice and you're ready to run or ready to jump. The time and the dedication that goes into it. And now, at least that you had the indoor to, kind of help you, see where you're at. Like, hey, here's the winter. We get through winter break, and now it's almost time to go. And this is where I'm at right at this moment. Yeah, it's a great way just to get in shape and to get ready for that outdoor. So again, there's, like Armani said, some of those schools that he's going to be competing against and those kids competing against down in South Carolina are going to be at their mid-season, and there is a difference, certainly a difference. So, but. Yeah, I'm going to say it tonight at the sports awards. I give credit to all of our kids. We're a small school district. We need our kids to be multiple sport athletes. We love our kids to be multiple sport athletes. And they're pouring a lot of the time 10, 11 months into each sport. So if they're doing 2 sports, that means they're going from one thing to the other, sometimes in the same day. And we just appreciate all the efforts that our athletes put forward here, and they've been pretty successful. And indoor track was no different last week. Had some great success, and it was exciting to hear about. And I think the one thing that I've learned from these past 26, 27 weeks of this podcast, all these kids know the numbers. Yeah, they know where they have to get to. They know what it takes to be on a leaderboard or win a
Yeah.
championship. All of them have that goal and that number in their mind. And it's just amazing to see while you're juggling school and
Yeah.
maybe going and trying to find colleges that that I'm going for 6'6" or 6'5" or
right.
for Addie's case, the 11.5 for pole. Like
Yeah.
it's amazing how they know the history of their sport.
Yeah, for sure. And like Armani said, he knows already what the number needs to be to win a state championship at the outdoor meet. And it is a different, it is a different level at the outdoor meet. There's, it's just even though you were in different divisions, 6'8" is probably the number. And so, but he's got his eye, and I love that he has a goal of at least tying the school record. And if not going out there and getting it, and I hope he gets it.
Is there any changes to track this year? Obviously, a lot has changed this year with more divisions in football, more divisions in basketball. Track staying at the same level?
Track is staying at the same level for this year. So there historically have been 3 divisions in track. There will be for one more this year, and we will be back at Jesse Owens, which is right on the campus of Ohio State. Last year, it was down in Dayton because they were doing some work to Jesse Owens. When I went to the state wrestling last week, I walked by Jesse Owens, and the track looks brand new and all that. It looks very similar to ours. It's got the red and the gray on it and the different lanes, and we're excited to be back in Jesse Owens where it should be. Next year, though, they did recently announce track will be going to 5 divisions.
Okay.
So not the 7 that you're seeing in girls and boys basketball. Waiting to hear what wrestling is going to do, if anything. Right now, wrestling is standing pat at 3 divisions. And obviously, that's on the boys' side. Girls right now is all 1 division. So we'll see. We have our spring meeting coming up here April 8th when we get back from spring break. And the OHSAA will update us as to sort of what ideas they have for the following year. But track, we already know that's going to happen. And then there's referendum voting that each school gets a vote. And there's usually 7 to 8 items on that ballot that we have to say yes or no to. One thing we can get into at some point in time when we're really bored is the NIL discussion for high schools, because Ohio is actually one of the few states that does not allow athletes to receive NIL money. I think one of 5 only that do not allow it. So, it's one of those things. The OHSAA is like, all right, should we do this? And there's been some pushback. We don't really want to go down that road, but it's going to happen. We've been told, it's going to happen. So do you want to sort of be in charge of it from a school perspective and the OHSAA working together on some language? Or do you want some state legislature from Southeast Ohio, random guy who's just going to make his own law and say, all right, this is NIL for high school athletes, and sort of it's going to be maybe not what we want it to be. So you probably will see NIL in the state of Ohio before too long. So we can get our kids ready, get Morgan and Peyton ready to go, get them on the some advertising dollars maybe coming. I don't know what's going to happen with NIL. It's a little strange to think it could actually trickle down to high school.
Yeah, I mean, it took so long to get into the college level. Now to hit the high school. Like I wouldn't even have thought about it being a possibility, and to be only one of 5 that let that
don't
happen.
have it. I know it's
wow.
crazy out there. So we'll see. That's for another day. But
yeah.
So girls wrestling, like I said, it was down there last week. It was an awesome tournament. The OHSAA does a very nice job of running that. We're in the Schottenstein Center where it should be. I'm hoping they sort of move basketball back there at some point. It's in Dayton right now, but the Schottenstein Center is a great venue. We had huge crowds down there, 14 to 15,000 people at each session, and our kids, both the boys and the girls, performed very well. So I guess we'll start with the girls. Gigi Dominish placed 3rd overall as a freshman. All right, so I kept tweeting that out. Like, she's a freshman. She's just remember. Same with like Macy. We'll talk about her a little bit here too. But like, she lost her semifinal match 13-9 and was right in it. She was winning in that match at one point and was right there the entire match. So wasn't far from advancing to the state championship match, and ultimately finished third and had a fantastic third place match where you know, it was a back and forth. She was winning 6-3, then she was down 9-6. You know, she gave up a 6-0 run, and then she pinned the girl. And I didn't even have my camera on. It happened so fast. Like, you know, I'm just trying to take video of all this stuff and post it out there, and it happened so quick. She pinned this girl in 2 seconds and is the third place finisher and placer at the state tournament. Abby Cornwell ended up finishing 7th for us. So both the girls who qualified for state ended up placing at state. Abby at the 110-pound weight class and Gigi's at 105. So it'll be interesting to see. Both of them will be back for next year. And, you know, I think the sky's the limit for both of them. I know they're going to continue to work hard. We've had them both on here. You know, obviously they're going to grind through the summer and be ready to go next year for the girls wrestling season.
And for Gigi, let's go back. I mean, the first match was 15 seconds. You talk about the quick pin, like it's just amazing. Like you talked about having her here, seeing her, you know, smaller girl, like, but she just goes out and dominates on the mat. Like it transforms into a different person.
She really does. I mean, she's soft spoken, she's quiet. She gets on that mat, and it's like she's just an animal, and so is Abby. And you have to sort of flip that switch,
right,
in this sport on the boys' side too. You have to be. So she is unbelievably quick on her feet, and from the outset of the match, it's like she's going 1,000 miles an hour, and I think some girls just aren't ready for that. And like you said, same thing. I didn't get video of her first match because it happened in 14 seconds or something like that. Technical fall. The second match was 16-1. Wasn't that close. And then, you know, that we talked about that 13-9 loss in the semifinal, and then a great third place match. And, you know, and Abby, you know, had a tough loss in that opener. She came in as the 1 seed. So she was the district champ. She comes in as the 1 seed. So that means you're wrestling a 4. So that's how they match you up from different people all over the state. You won't see somebody from your district. So they put the Menor district people at different parts of each 4 parts of the bracket. So she's wrestling a number 4, but she was from a different part of the state, never had seen this girl, and it was very, very tight, 3-2 loss. And so that's one of those things. Now you gotta come back from that, and you gotta sort of mentally, and she did a fantastic job of sort of changing her mindset. Obviously, it was very disappointing loss, sort of an unexpected loss off the bat, and you're thinking, oh my God, if I lose again, my tournament's over. And she really changed her mindset and did a good job. Her coaches did a good job of telling her exactly what she needed to do and to change. And she had obviously some really good success after that.
Yeah, even going into overtime to get the 7th place win. So, you know, congratulations to both of them. As we talked about, we had them numerous times throughout the year, and you could see the dedication and the time spent on the mat to improve their games. And again, being a sophomore and a freshman, you know, it only goes up from here for both of them.
Well, and it's a great experience for both of them. Being in those situations, like even losing that tight match, she's going to learn from that. Being in that overtime match, I mean, it was 5-5, and it was nip and tuck, and it was back and forth in that match. And, you know, there were a couple of times like I thought she was going to get pinned, and she was close to pinning the girl. And it was very, very, very close. And those experiences are invaluable. To do it on the mat, in the Schottenstein Center, in the state championships. Now you go back as a junior and a sophomore, you know, it's going to help you. You're going to be ahead of maybe somebody who hasn't had that experience yet. So it's great.
You know, now being familiar with someone that you haven't seen, now you have a little film on them. Not that they weren't watching film, and you know, but now you're familiar with somebody else. So, you know, congratulations to both of them. On the boys' side, 3 qualifiers made it down to the states with 2 alternates. Let's go through the boys there. Let's start with Landon first and work our way up.
Yeah, Landon at 120. You know, he had a tough match right off the bat. You know, and that's never easy. Same thing as with Abby. You know, you come down. Landon was a 3. All 3 of our qualifiers were 3 seeds. So that means they're wrestling a 2 seed. So it's that typically the 1 and the 4 typically. It's like a 1 and a 16 in the NCAA tournament, right? The 1 seeds typically win. The 2 and the 3, it's sort of a 50-50 toss-up. You never know exactly what you're going to get. He lost. Could have won that match, was right in it, and lost a tight one, but came back again.
Yeah.
Same thing. You got to refocus and re-energize and put all of that behind you, which is easier said than done. Easy for me to say it here,
Right.
sitting with you the week after. Hard to do when you're on the brink of being eliminated from the state tournament. He came back, dominated in the second match, 7-0, and you know that at least gave him an opportunity to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And again, same concept. He's only a sophomore. You want as many matches down there as you can wrestle, so you can get as much
Right.
experience as you can.
And that was the other part. And we're going to talk about the same thing with Trent. You fall in your first one, but you find a way to stay alive, come back, win again, and get to the next day. You're not done on Friday. You get to wrestle again on Saturday, and that's the kind of the route that Trent had as well.
It was, and he lost one as well. So again, a 3 seed versus a 2, tight match, could have gone either way. It was down to the wire in that one, but came back and performed very well.
Mm-hmm.
And again on the verge of being eliminated, and then he came back and he was super close to getting into the podium round where you're guaranteed a spot.
Yeah.
And he lost that match 3-1. We had 2 kids wrestling at the same time, which figures, right? I think Chance and he were wrestling at the same time. So I was there's 10 mats down there, so they're sort of set up at, you could be at one end, and so I didn't have the greatest view. I couldn't see the score, and I'm trying to figure out if he's winning or not,
Right.
because I couldn't tell because it was that close. So I couldn't see the score. I saw it was 3-1 or 2-1, and I'm like, all right, who's winning? Because he was right there, close to, and if he would have won that match, he would have been on the podium. So again, Trent as a junior will be back, hopefully for some more wrestling action next year as well.
Yeah, and the last wrestler that we have is Chance, and again, all 5 make it to Saturday. 3, continue on. You get 3 more to wrestle on Sunday, and that's where you want to be to place. And that's exactly what he did with a 6th place finish.
Yeah, and that he sat here last week and told us that, right? That's what his goal was, and he accomplished that goal, and he wrestled his tail off. Got a win in that first match, which always sets you up for a little bit easier path, and he came through when he needed to come through, and he had some tough matches. He had some nip and tuck matches as well. Lost that first match on Saturday, but won by pin, and that got him onto that sort of that medal round or that podium round where now he knows he's going to place in the top 8. It just depends where he's going to place. And then there's a lot of wrestling that has to go on in there to determine, because usually you always think, oh, if I lose 2 matches, I'm done.
Right.
But not if you get to a certain point on that podium. Now they've got to wrestle, and you've got to determine. All right, we know the 1st and 2nd place match, that's going to be wrestled Sunday night, but they've got to wrestle 3rd through 8th to determine those. And it becomes a almost sort of a. It's a lot of wrestling, and they're used to it though. They go to these tournaments and wrestle 5 or 6 matches in a day, so these are a little bit more spread out.
And for him, down 4-1 in that one, and it's the final match, and again, hearing him 2-3 weeks in a row that we had him on, the determination, and now being able to experience 2 years in a row to now take that momentum and or that maybe disappointment into his senior year to flip the script.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think being down 4-1, a lot of it is mental at that point.
Yeah.
And he's very strong, man. I think one of his strongest attributes is his mentality and how he attacks things. And I think when you listen to his interview, if you go back and listen, he's very focused.
Yes.
He knows what he wants to accomplish, and he's not going to let many things get in his way of accomplishing those goals. And I think at that point he just decided, he knew what he needed to do, and he went out and did it and came back, and it was a great experience for him. And again, that's the word, experience, because now as a senior, his goal, I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but his goal will certainly be get back down to the state tournament, and hey, the sky's the limit. Go try to win a state championship, and I'm sure that's what being a senior and a 6th place finisher as a junior, it's well within his reach.
Was it close for any of the alternates to get a chance to wrestle, or was it, they made it down, but
Yeah.
there was no chance. Everyone made their weight.
Yeah,
And were-
you always wonder. Chris Bezic at 144 probably had a little bit better of a chance than Chuck, only because those guys have to watch their weight. Those middle weight guys, anywhere 126 to 150, so they're going down to the 0.1 pounds sometimes. So if somebody's overweight, you got to be ready to go. It's rare that any alternate gets in at the state level, just because, obviously that's what all of those kids have
Right.
worked hard their entire careers for, and they're going to be dedicated one last week to make sure they make that weight. But you never know. You got a sickness, you got a skin something or another on a kid, and you never know when that door is going to open up. I know those guys were ready to go. They were disappointed they didn't get to wrestle, but it's unfortunate that most times it doesn't work out.
Yep, and Coach Reinelli last week talked about losing a handful of seniors, but again in a good spot like we've talked about all year long with his roster going into next year with a lot of underclassmen that got some valuable experience this year to build upon what they brought back, from the previous year. So in good shape for wrestling coming up in next season.
For sure. 11 district qualifiers on the boys' side, sectional champions, district runner-up. I mean, it all sets itself up. Obviously, we're going to miss our seniors and thank them for everything that they've done for our program, a great group of senior leaders. But we're excited for the future. And, I know we'll be back in the state duels because they base your finish at the district meet on that, so we should be in the mix for state duels as a team. And again, I think that team, we're very strong when it comes down to the team aspect of wrestling. We're very, 106 through heavyweight, we're strong at every class, and that's going to give us a great chance of success.
And as we're taping today here on a Wednesday, it's Sports Award night tonight. So I'm going to give you a little warm-up here as we go back and look at a couple of the other state qualifiers that we have talked about before. But again, as we wrap up the winter sports season, let's just go back to last week with gymnastics.
Yeah, Macy, 4th place on the balance beam, 5th place in the all-around. As a freshman, that's another theme there. Same with Gigi.
Yep.
And Macy, the sky's the limit for Macy. She's and I'm going to probably get this wrong, all the gymnastics people out there might yell at me, but a level 10 gymnast. So she's going to be training even more, longer, more hours with her club and different things as she moves forward. And I think I counted it up last when we interviewed her, 17 or 18 hours a week of practice. So it's going to be at a different level for Macy. So I know, we're excited and hope she comes back and performs at the high school level, but she may not, just because she's going to be, you have to be that level, you have to be a certain level to compete in college. And I know that's ultimately her goal. And so, but just a great finish for her, as a freshman in her first meet down in Columbus, and hats off. We'll talk about that tonight at the Sports Awards, and great gymnastics season.
And on the swim side, Brody Hicks, Traxton made it down there for diving, and Noel Griffith as well.
Yeah, Noel, again, experience is maybe the word of the day. Just having, she didn't advance to the finals, but she got there. That was her goal coming in. She's only been swimming for 2 years. And now she gets a little taste of what the state tournament can be like, and I think that can fuel her for the off season. So, and Brody is one of the most driven athletes I've ever seen. He's already practicing like a madman, getting ready for next year. And these guys go right into club, and they really don't stop. And again, back to that whole, our kids are putting in 11, some 12 months out of the year in their particular craft and their sport, and they're really working hard. So I know he's already at it. And with Traxton and his gymnastics background, that sort of helped him as when we talked to him a few weeks ago. He'll be back. He'll continue to do the diving, and he's a basketball player for us, so juggling those two things. Just another great swim season as well. And Coach Scheider, News Herald Coach of the Year, our first in over 20 plus years being recognized by the News Herald as Coach of the Year. He was up for District Coach of the Year, didn't get that award, unfortunately. but he's going to be back in the mix for that next year as well. Just does a great job with the program. He certainly deserves a shout out. He came in. Armani mentioned COVID.
Yeah.
And no one wants to remember those days, but because it was craziness. But Brian came in like 2 weeks into swim season. It was mid-November. They had started at the end of October. Our coach, because of COVID, had to resign, and we were without a coach 2 weeks in. And our former coach recommended Brian, and I sort of had to beg him and plead him, because he's coaching NDCL, to sort of take on another role and spend another 2 or 3 hours every day with another team, and he did it, and he's been great for us ever since. So certainly well-deserved award for Coach Scheider, News Herald Coach of the Year for swimming.
And the other two final, I guess, winter sports teams, and again, didn't get to the state level, but again, both made the postseason, both made deep runs. Some of their athletes will play in an all-star game coming up, but let's start first with boys basketball.
Yep.
And their finish, they made it into the playoffs, unfortunately suffered a first-round loss.
Yeah, and we look at some of these teams now. Coach Isfano and I, we still talk quite often, and we're getting ready for next year and working on schedules and off-season stuff, and so the season ends and it doesn't stop for our coaches. Everybody thinks, oh, the season's over, you can go back to being no, because we're getting the schedule ready. We're talking about off-season. They're going to meet with all of their players. They're going to talk about their plans for the off-season and what they're doing. So just because the season's over doesn't mean it's really over. But we're talking, and it's one of those things that you look at Hawken and Kirtland.
Yeah.
That are in the Final Four.
Yes.
Now, and again, albeit an expanded division, Kirtland is Division 6 and Hawkins Division 4. They were in our division, and it's just crazy. Two teams from the CVC make runs, and it's just some of it. Certainly not taking anything away from those two teams. Some of it is luck. Some of it's the draw. Some of it's where you end up. Some of it's who's in your region. Some of it's because look at Lutheran Weston and Richmond Heights.
You're right.
Two defending state champions find themselves in the same division this year, and only one can come out. So it's one of those things that, it's certainly that first game against Woodridge could have gone either way. We were winning, they were winning, and went back and forth. We came back, took a lead with under a minute to go. They made a couple of baskets, made their foul shots at the end, and you get knocked out. We were a 10 seed, they were a 12 seed, so you knew it wasn't going to be easy coming in. And I think if we could have won that game, one reason we went into that bracket because we felt we could compete with Streetsboro at the next round, and then even Glenville at the next round. It was a winnable district, but nothing's guaranteed, and you got to go out and earn your stuff. And the boys will be back. Same concept as wrestling, right? We lose 4 seniors, but we're looking forward to the future, and next year should be a fun year for us.
And 2 of the boys will play in the CVC All-Star game coming up on Tuesday at Wycliffe High School. It'll be the Chagrin versus the Valley Division, then later Lake versus Metro. But Vince and Darian both get to play for the Chagrin at 6 o'clock next Tuesday, or this coming Tuesday.
Yeah, this coming Tuesday. One more time as backcourt mates there. We'll see if they get on the court at the same time. Certainly, I think the question that was it Vince or Darian had, are we the best backcourt ever? And we've had some great ones, so I won't say that they're the best ones ever, but they're certainly up there in the top 2 or 3 of all time here at Perry High School to be on the same court together, and so they get to do it again one more time for the CVC. And shout out to the CVC for putting that together, Steve Hare, and the people over at the CVC and the All-Star contest. Not something we have to do as a league. It's something we want to do as a league, and they do a fantastic job, and it gives those kids, again, sort of that one last chance to go out there and compete.
And the last winter sports team to put a bow on was a fantastic run by the girls team, making it into the Sweet 16 before finally falling to Laurel. Yeah,
just a fantastic run. I think, again, Coach Infalvi, Northeast District Coach of the Year for the entire Northeast District in Division 4, just did a fantastic job. And he and his staff, Coach Austin, Coach Allen, Coach Infalvi Sr., really, got these girls together. And hats off to the girls. They got it done. They're the ones playing on the court. And, they, it was a bit of a wave, which basketball seasons, of long seasons can be. We started out, 500-ish, and then we go on a 9-game run. 9-0, and then we went 500 again toward the end of the season. I'm like, oh man, did we peak too soon? But they stayed the course. They kept working every day, and it really is a grind. You get into late January and February, and you've been at it since October on the girls' side. They start at last week of October. It's a grind.
Yeah.
Same thing. Swim laps in the pool, day after day. Wrestling, day after day. It really sometimes gets to you. So hats off to all of our kids in all of those winter sports. But the girls found that fifth gear and really played well in the postseason. And the Coventry game here wasn't much of a game, but then you bring in Keystone, who they were in the Division III Final Four the year before. Only had, was it one loss or two losses? Two losses coming in, 21-2 coming into our gym, and it wasn't much of a game.
Yeah.
We end up winning by 12 or 13 points. We hold them to 38 points. Our defense was fantastic. I think we had a great game plan going in, and the girls executed it. And then you go on, and you're probably the underdog again for sure this game. Keystone might have been a 50-50 game. This next one, we're certainly an underdog against West Branch, who historically plays unbelievable defense. We had our run-in with West Branch in a district final before, or it was a regional semi, and it didn't go well. They smothered us defensively, and the girls came out and really played well in a huge cavernous gym at Akron North High School. That thing was huge, but they really came out and won a district championship. And again, hats off to our entire program. That's our 5th district final in 7 years. It's the first time we've won since 2021. So just a fantastic sort of Cinderella-ish run to that game, and then to make it to the Sweet 16. So awesome stuff.
Yeah, and the Laurel, they were in that game in the first period, first quarter for sure.
Yeah.
So, by halftime, it started to get a little bit out of, but they never gave up. They made it a close game at the end, and after watching that, I thought, Laurel's untouchable. Then they ended up getting beat. They're not, I think they made it to the Final Four, but not to the state level this year. So again, you just never know. Rootstown, who stopped the 10-game or the 9-game win streak, they're in the D6 championship. So the schedule they played really got them to get to that level. And I know, Coach Infalvi's told us a million times, they're not shying away from those tough games, because those are the teams you want to see to get to that ultimate goal.
Yeah, and you want to face those teams because you want to know what you need to do better.
Yeah.
And how to beat really, really good teams. And we played Menor this year, obviously a big D1 school. Canfield, another. I don't know if they're still alive or not.
They actually lost to Streetsboro right after our game, which was another amazing.
That's
you would
another
have
crazy
expected
run.
Canfield and Laurel to meet up, and they lost the very next game.
Yep. And so to play those schools, a Rootstown, to go down and travel to them, they'll come to us next year. But we're not going to shy away from those. We want those experiences to make us a little bit stronger. Even if we don't win, it's going to make us better.
And on the girls' side, the CVC All-Star game will be this coming Wednesday, a week from today. They'll also play at 6 o'clock. It'll be Audrey Austin and Victoria Lynch representing Perry. Yeah,
two great seniors again. Sort of get to share that court again and one last time. And I know they're going to represent Perry well. And just a fantastic run there for the girls.
And next week we'll start talking about some of the spring sports.
Yep.
Last show will be next week before spring break, but plenty to cover there. Also coming up this Saturday is the big booster raffle.
Yeah, we still have a few tickets left. So if you're listening to this on Wednesday afternoon or Thursday, maybe even Friday, there might be a ticket or two out there. If you want to come out, the Perry Community Center, it's $60 a person. We have a $2,000 grand prize. Lavera is doing the food, so the food's going to be excellent. Includes drinks and all that kind of stuff, and we're going to have different raffles going on, sideboards, And all of the money, the best part, all of the money goes right back to our student athletes here at Perry through our booster club. So hats off to our booster club and our board. They're the ones planning. Angela Spring is sort of running this. She's chairing this event, and she's done it all the way back to the PYFL days from 10 or 11 years ago, and now she's doing it for the booster club. And I know we're gonna have a lot of fun. It's a good night out, so join us if you're able to this Saturday, Perry Community Center, 6 p.m.
Yeah, not a lot of guests this week, but we covered a
No.
lot in week 27 to
Yeah.
wrap up the whole winter sports
Yeah,
season.
and we'll have more. Emily will, as our female athlete of the week this week, Emily will be on with us next week. We're going to have maybe another special guest on next week. We're working on some things already for next week. And then we'll take a week off for spring break. And then when we come back in April, we'll hit it full force and we'll be 1,000% on spring sports and updating everybody on that. But until then, have a great rest of the week. Catch us on the podcast. Follow our Twitter account. I should have said that last week for updates. We're at Perry_Pirates. If you ever want, you can go back now and watch. You can watch some of these matches that we've talked about with Chance and Gigi and Abby and Trent and Landon too. They're all out there on our Twitter account. We try to take Macy's stuff is out there on our Twitter account. So all of her routines and things that she competed at the state championship. It's a great place to go for sort of instant updates. And obviously this sort of wraps everything up into one little show here. But we thank you for joining us. Until next week, go Pirates.